Well, obviously we're just trying to get ourselves physically prepared after the trip and acclimatise to the conditions and so on. So we're training today, tomorrow, again on Thursday. So we're just looking forward to this first game first before we worry about anything else. But the guys are excited about being here. It's a very strong squad, the Australian squad, and a lot of expectation on us. But got a lot of work to do to overcome the Kiwis, who hold all the trophies at the moment, let alone England on their home soil. So it's going to be a good series.
A lot of that expectation comes on the back of your emphatic win over the world champions and Four Nations champions. How much notice should we pay to that result going into this tournament?
Oh, look, there's no doubt we were in good form on the day. But as with Man U yesterday, anything can happen if you go in thinking that that's what you did last week is good enough. But the guys are experienced enough to understand that, and a lot of the guys played in 09 when we drew the first game against New Zealand, and then we're under the pump right through the series, and remembered New Zealand getting beat by England not to make the final. So there's enough in the history of the last 2 years of this tournament to remind you that unless you perform, you can find yourself out before you start.
Certainly has the makings of a great Four Nations series, don't you think?
Oh, I do. I think the Wembley double header, for instance, Darren, from our point of view, Darren's last series, the fact that you've just had a great grand final here and everyone's still in rugby league mode is very good. Lots of pluses to be here, and I know the guys are very keen, and we've got a very competitive 24 people all looking to try and make that starting 17.
And within all three teams, I guess there's some old stages, there's some up and coming talent, there's people with points to prove. That's going to make it a real treat and a real spectacle for the fans, isn't it? Yeah,
I think outside of the games themselves, there's a lot of internal stories. There's no doubt about that. The English captain Peacock coming back from an injury that they said he couldn't, and they're coming off a great win there in the grand final lead. So there's lots of things. Let alone Wales beating France and making the, which shows some strength in Great Britain's rugby league future as well.
How much pressure is there on yourself and on your team to deliver the goods here?
There's always pressure, but we have a strong squad. We have a strong belief, but it's still getting the job done, as I said earlier. And if there wasn't that pressure, it's probably one of those things that, from Australians generally point of view, that they just expect that, we've got to handle it.
In the past, when going into this tournament, some people have thought it's kind of a toss a coin between Australia and New Zealand. Do you think England have kind of forced their way into the reckoning a little bit now, especially with the recent squad announcement?
I think so, and again in 09 they've got that only 2 years ago to remind them that again the conditions here, and you've only got to slip up, not quite turn up on the night, your discipline lets you down, the shape of that football, which can always bounce against you, your injury situation on a given night, which we were reminded of last year's final when we finished the game with 15 from half time. All of those things can happen. You can never be sure, and that of course can, let alone the home crowd here, that can get England home. So anything can happen. So I'm really looking forward to the tournament.
And that Wembley double header we've talked about, how much of an occasion, how much will that kind of mean to you guys going down there?
It's tremendous. It's a first for the players. It'll be exciting. As a double header, I'm hoping we get a great crowd, which will lift the four sides. And certainly I know it's a spiritual home for English Rugby League. And with the background of losing 90 and 94, the last two test sides or touring kangaroo sides that came out, both losing that first game there just reminds us. Bobby Fulton and I had discussed it. He was the coach at the time, about not getting ambushed there.